How you doing, Jep?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. You guys in Minneapolis for your show tonight?
Getting amped, man, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Walking around the city right now, just getting a good view in.
As you've toured and made your journeys over the year, do you have you found some beauty in some other places?
I've lived all over the place.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure where I'm from, actually. I've thought this for a long time, like, where are you actually from? It's my story's a little weird and complicated, but
Yeah.
it's all part of the life fun. But yeah, I love the city. I love Minneapolis. It seems really nice as far as, somebody who doesn't permanently live here and just visiting,
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I've seen a lot of, hey, Utah has great spots. There's so many good spots in America when you get to see the right spots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, if you dig deep enough, you're going to find some rotten spots no matter where you're at, for sure. But the good spots are all there too.
Some places have more than others, for sure. But, just avoid those.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you just starting your tour tonight, or are you several dates into it?
We are about 2-3 weeks into it.
Okay. Yeah, you're cruising the Midwest the next week or so, and obviously you've got your Omaha date, and that's what we are talking to you about with the you'll be at Steelhouse Omaha on Saturday night. It's a place that you've never played before because it's brand new, and I don't know if you've heard anything about it, but it is a fantastic venue to not only watch live music, but from what I've heard, to be able to play live music at as well. So you are in for a treat coming up on Saturday.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait. Sounds exciting already.
Good. So you're into the tour. Is it you're 20 plus years into this lifestyle that you've created for yourself? I'm assuming that you've been in a band longer than you've, correct?
Yeah. I've been in the Used from the beginning, and the Used has started in the year 2000.
Yeah. You guys were relatively young when you started out in 2000, right? In your teens, early 20s?
Yeah. Like that's what I was kind of getting at, is I've been in the Used longer than I haven't.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say,
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It really is. We're really lucky. We're really blessed. We don't ever, take advantage of our situation. Like we're every day we think how lucky we are. During our shows, we'll even say stuff about how lucky we are and how happy we are. I mean, just to be able to play music with my friends and come out and jam and just have a good time, like, you can see it. That's kind of what our stage presence has a lot of. You can tell that we're having a good time. And if, somebody makes mistakes on stage, that's some of the fun too. We'll point it out and we'll like tease each other. It's all in good fun.
Yeah, that's got to be a pretty tremendous life that you've been able to create out of doing what you love to do when you basically came from nothing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're so fortunate. We've been through all the ups and downs you could possibly imagine. I mean, even through the band, and throughout, like, it's been a crazy ride, and we're just holding on,
Well, we're excited. We were excited to get new music from you earlier this year here at the radio station, and the new album obviously has been out for a bit. It's called Toxic Positivity. I'm trying to read up on this album. It's kind of a strange recording process, isn't it? Is this created by COVID, that you recorded many of the tracks 2 years ago, and then you finished up the album earlier this year?
Yeah, exactly. COVID definitely put a damper. We did a record right before this one called Heartwork.
Yep.
And that was supposed to be released right in the middle of COVID. Well, hindsight, we don't know when COVID was started or ended, but like pretty much right when, COVID was going strong, it was the only option was to release the record. So we released that. And then we decided to go back, like a year or two later, we decided to go back in the studio and write some more songs. And then a year or two after that, we decided to go back in the studio and write more songs for this record. So this record is actually split into two different sections across multiple years.
And all those tracks didn't make it onto the album. So how did you guys go about picking between the older and the newer stuff that you'd recorded for the album and selecting the tracks that you put on it?
And it is a pain in the ass. It really is, I'll tell you. But the cool thing about it is that it came up with a vibe. We the first half of the section was really depressed and really dark and really I guess depression is the best kind of word you can put in there that was happening at the time. And the second half, and when I'm saying half, I'm not talking about the record split down the middle. I'm just saying the recording process of both halves, right? And so the second recording process was a little bit lighter. There was a little bit coming out of the darkness, like a positive look, like, because years later you dealt with all your demons that you were dealing with at the time, And so you can kind of hear that, like songs like Giving Up, how it's like a positive, like outtake of, falling down. That one, definitely session, but songs like, Worst I've Ever Been. That was the first session. Or I Hate Everybody, you know what I mean? First session. So
That's kind of like a speaks of life a little bit, doesn't it? When you look back at where you were, like, I don't know, 5 years ago. You look at where you were 10 years ago. I mean, if I look back at where I was 8 years ago, I was, getting out of a marriage, and I was not in a good spot, right? And if
yeah.
you just look at where you're at in different spots in your life, and that's kind of interesting that you were able to pick out the two recording processes on the same album and see kind of how your mood had changed almost.
Yeah, and it's really crazy. I mean, everyone deals with problems, and everyone has to come out of those problems some way, and it's really refreshing to talk to fans and to just relate things to our own personal lives of having the same problem that everyone else has, and then them having the same problems that we have, and we can talk about it and find out that there is an outcome and there is a positive way to get out of these, like, terrible instances that happen in life. It's all about becoming stronger, crawling out, getting up and being stronger,
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have been doing it for quite a long time. And you mentioned Heartwork, which you released right in the heart of COVID. The last two albums have been with John Feldmann. You've worked with him quite a bit over the course of your 9 records that you've put out. You've worked with him all but 2, is that right?
We have a demo record that he didn't do until, that was the pre the first record.
Well, you had to get his attention somehow, right?
We got his attention with that. Yeah. And you're right. A record called Artwork, not Heartwork.
Yeah.
Don't have to be confused with Heartwork. We did a record called Artwork. That's one of my favorite used records. But it just it got leaked super early. So a lot of people didn't get to hear it as much, but
Sure.
it's an underground favorite. And a record called The Canyon that we did with Ross Robinson. It was, honestly, and Feldmann is a fucking awesome. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to swear.
No, you got it.
Feldmann's a great human.
Yeah.
Yeah, beep that.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks. Feldmann is an awesome human. He is probably the number one used fan of Earth. I would definitely say that. And we've all grown together, and we've all learned from each other, and we've all taught each other a lot of lessons. I've learned so much from Feldmann over the years, and even unexpected stuff, like really, like how to just be a better bass player, just of the way that he records and his process. It's really helped me grow in many ways. But the cool thing is that since we've all kind of grown together through this process, is that we're like family. Like John is a family member. I think of him like an older brother. Someone I could make fun of and still learn from at the same time. You know what I mean?
That's got you talk about being fortunate to have somebody like that first of all is a huge fan of what you were doing. First of all, flies you guys out and takes care of you and makes sure that you get some representation and then is producing all these albums for you. That's pretty phenomenal. That's like You talk about better lucky than good. That's pretty lucky right there.
Oh yeah, and really most of the reason we go back to John is because we miss him. Like we love hanging out with him. Really, we do. Like we love going to his house. We love just like shooting the shit, just hanging out, and just being friends. Which is awesome. And it just happens that he's a great producer and he has a great studio, and all of his engineers work really well with all of us. And like I said, since John's like a family member, he knows how each one of us work, and he can get into the mind of each one of us and have us, be better at what we're trying to do.
And we're talking with Jeff Howard, the bassist for The Used, who are performing Saturday night with Sleeping with Sirens at Steelhouse Omaha. Jeff, when you dipped out of using and working with John for those 2 albums, for Artwork and for The Canyon, was John not available? Were you guys looking for maybe some inspiration on a different sound? What was it that led to you guys just kind of dipping out from John's work?
It's always good to change and grow and try new things out. And we always talk about using different producers, and that was what's so cool about those 2 records. Like Artwork, like I said, is one of my favorite records, one of my favorite used records. If that was recorded under John, it would be a totally different record. It would sound completely different. It's really dry and it's really dark and it's really just not a lot of production. It's really kind of laid back a little more, but still there's something about it. There's something about the mix, something about the songs that have always called to me,
Yeah.
And recording with Ross Robinson, like Ross is a legend. He's incredible. He's such a good human. Like I've looked up to him for years, and I remember meeting him So when we first started doing showcases, like back in the day, like for labels to try to see if they wanted to sign us, we met Ross back then. So back in like, I think it was 2001, even maybe 2002, possibly 2001. But I remember meeting Ross back then and being blown away just because I looked up to him before that, you know. So actually, we've been trying to do something with him for years. It just lined up this way, you know.
Yeah. Well, very
really
cool.
lucky. And such a great producer, such a great human. Yeah.
So the longevity continues, and you're able to look back at some of the things that you do. And you talked about how you and your fellow bandmates, you know, Bert and everybody, just like to have a great time. You know, busting balls on stage when somebody screws up. I caught across a video of you guys watching your own videos. Do you remember? that clip? It was
depends which one, but
well,
I think I know which one you're talking about.
It's one that shows your videos over the course of the years, and you and Bert are kind of flashing back to things. I mean, there was even one where you guys referenced Groundhog Day, which was just freaking hilarious. Yeah. But you look back at what you've been able to do, and especially with what you guys are able to do, which is recording everything that you've done over the years, and the video and the audio, and you're able to kind of flash back and see your life in a documentary almost. What's it been like to live that lifestyle where you know you can go back at any time and be like, man, what was I thinking, you know, with that hair? You know, Bert used to have long hair. I remember he made a comment about people liked him better with long hair. I mean, you guys, your life has basically been, you know, you can go back and rewind to any point in time just to see what it was like at that time. What has that experience been like for you guys?
You know, it's the cool thing about that whole scene and that whole thing existing, and even the way records are, is I think about it this way. It's almost like each record and each album is sort of like a child, like being born, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they grow and they change and they become something, you know, they become something. And at some point in time, you're going to meet up with that child, you know, and see them for who they really are, who they become. And that's sort of how these records are. They've taken on a life of their own. They become what they are in that sense. And looking back, I can see what we were doing, what we were putting into it. But then now I'm seeing what other people were seeing and are seeing now of what that was. So like kind of like when you see a painting, like when any of us go and we go to the Louvre or something, we see the Mona Lisa, like somebody will see it and be like, oh, it's great. It reminds me of my mom or something, you know, or my grandma or something like that, you know. And, you know, that's not really what the artist painted it as, you know what I mean? But that doesn't matter because that's not what people are going for. People are going to see what they want to see out of it.
Yeah, art.
And so like live shows and like live shows and records and music and all of the stuff that happened at that time and place, for me, at least, like, especially when we play live shows, it's 50% the artist and 50% the crowd, right? Because we're putting into it, you know, what we put into it from the beginning. But these fans that are coming and singing the words and seeing the shows are putting into it what they remember, you know what I mean? What it brings out of them, you know? So it's really exciting to see it grow and change over the years. And even those videos, that's what I'm talking about, to see it all from what we remember it being, but from what it's become, you know?
Do you feel like there's added pressure when there's a fan that says, you know, hey, this song changed my life this way? Do you feel added pressure, or is it more of gratitude that they revealed that story to you?
A little both, you know, all honesty, a little bit of both, you know, because we want to help. We're you know, it's great to help people. We have, you know, of course, over the years we've become like partial therapists in ways, you know what I mean? Because some songs we have really hit people in the right spots to help them, you know, and so they'll come to shows and they'll relate to us and they'll tell us about what the song means to them and where they got to it. And some of it's really heavy. Some of it's like really tense and really just, you know, hard to hold on to. And, you know, we've over the years, we've taken it and we hold on to it, you know, and there's some crazy stories I can tell you, man.
Oh, I trust
about
me.
Some of the stuff we've heard.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, just first of all, you impact, you know, thousands upon thousands upon thousands. Just that happens as well to, believe it or not, radio DJs, where people are like, hey, you know, this has really helped me along, and it's like, wow, man, I just thought I was talking, and you know, I'm just having a good time, and it's affecting somebody in a positive way. Do you feel do any of the song's meanings from when you go and from the writing process to the recording process to putting them on an album and performing them live, do any of those meanings change when fans come with their impact of that song to you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, every little bit adds to the whole, honestly. And we try to hold on to it and we try to live in it of what we meant the song to be at the time. But you can't help but have the song change over time as somebody else's experiences rubbing off on you.
Yeah.
And so it's really exciting. Like, here's one story that I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be telling, but so a mom came to a show. Don't cry, okay, because it's a heavy story.
Okay.
Mom came to a show, and her daughter was a huge Used fan. And this is like 15, maybe 17 years ago, like pretty far back. And she passed away, the daughter did. And I can't remember the exact way that she passed away because it's been so long, but the daughter passed away. But the mom came out to the show and was like, our daughter, like, she loved you guys more than anything. Like, she had posters, she had the songs, she would listen to them all the time. She got cremated, the daughter did, and the mom brought the ashes and said, will you take these on tour with you?
Wow.
Which is heavy. And I still have those ashes. They're still on tour with us. I have them in my wardrobe case. So she's been on tour with us for 17 years now, maybe longer.
Well, let's be honest, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, that is for you to take that responsibility and keep it moving and keep, that's a heavy responsibility that you took on, and for you to, be still carrying that along says something about you, I think, as a person.
Definitely heavy. It's definitely intense.
Yeah.
We're just trying to do our best to, get through life just as everyone else, and so it's all understandable, and so we take as much as we can too to help,
Absolutely. Well, you have lived a fortunate life, but it sounds like you guys take a pretty good responsibility on making sure that the fans mean something to you, and that each and every show is a good time for you guys, but it's also a good time for the fans out there. And we appreciate you taking time to talk with us today. Obviously, we're looking forward to the show on Saturday night.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, like I said, the venue is phenomenal, and if you have any reports to the contrary, I want you to make sure you let us know, because it's a really cool venue, really cool. So
I'll get my pen and paper out. I'll be starting writing notes right now.
Sounds great. Well, we're looking forward to you guys having a good time on stage and entertaining the crowd on Saturday in Omaha. Thanks again for your time, Jeff Howard from The Used. And we always look forward to you guys coming to town. So once again, thanks again for your time. Thanks for what you've done for everybody that you've impacted over the course of your life, man.
Hey, man, thank you. I really appreciate you. And thanks for having this interview with me.